Okay, sports fans. I find that I just can't let this story go, and there's something about it that just like I've expressed, in I think the last two videos that I recorded about it. There's just always been something about this story that hasn't sat well with me. I mean, and of course, it's a tragedy, it's a disaster, it's an awful thing, and it happened 4 days after I I was in the American Airlines jet leaving Washington after the March for Life. So it's like a feeling of having dodged a bullet. Uh, you know, that may be part of my inability to let this story go. But I don't think we should let this story go, because this was an entirely preventable incident, disaster, tragedy. And now, yes, this is from RT, um, but I don't think that this is not fake news. It's just sometimes you have to go to a place that's covering a story in a way that maybe American outlets won't cover it. Uh, and yes, RT has an agenda, but you really think that mainstream American media, it doesn't have an agenda? I mean, you're a fool if you think that. So all of this is true as far as I know. Now, again, anything could be true or not true. Anything, they might be lying to us about anything and everything. But here you go. Put this in your pipe and smoke it. Black Hawk pilot in DC crash identified as former Biden aide. So we found out the last video I recorded was when they announced that the third member of the Black Hawk helicopter, which collided into the passenger plane, which killed 67 people, because I don't know, they were doing maneuvers around the Washington airport, and why again, I don't know why in the hell they're doing army maneuvers around a place where that's anywhere near the flight path of airplanes that are taking off or landing at a major uh, airport hub. But apparently that's what they've been doing for a while, and this has never happened before. So there you go. Anyway, we found out she was a lady, but they withheld her name from us for a while, for a couple days, and then they announced what her name was. And some are saying, well, anyway, let's just go on. So she was a former aide to Biden, a female pilot of the helicopter that collided with the passenger aircraft, had served as a White House social aide in former President Joe Biden's administration. Her family has said in a statement after her name was released by the military. The U.S. Army had earlier identified the woman as Captain Rebecca Lobach, 28. The mid-air collision that took place last Wednesday claimed the lives of 67 people. Lobach served as a White House social aide after volunteering to support Biden in, quote, in hosting countless White House events, including some medal award ceremonies, according to her family's statement published on social media over the weekend. Right, and then so pictures have surfaced online, which showed her in the White House briefing room and at award ceremonies. Her family initially used the military not to release her name to the public in the wake of a crash, according to NPR. So it was NPR who broke that she was a woman. And last time I recorded a video, I was reading from an NPR piece. So they're making reference to that. So now we know who she was, and that she was an aide to Joe Biden, to the Biden administration. Yeah, she'd been an aviation officer. Said she served as an aviation officer since 2019 and been awarded several medals over the course of her service. She completed a degree in biology at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill before joining the Army. So anyway, and they talk about Trump, sort of raising the specter of DEI. And saying things about how strongly implying that the mid-air collision was due to negligence or something, due to the Black Hawk pilots not doing their job properly, not being it had the ability to go up and down, had the ability to turn it, and the turn it made was not the correct turn, obviously, Trump said last Thursday. So this is, it's unusual, of course, to come out swinging after. Usually you give a story like this some room to breathe, and you say this is a tragedy and we're sorry for everyone involved. So that was definitely a break from convention on Trump's part. But so what else is new, right? Trump does what he does, says what he says. Okay, so what are we to make of the fact that this woman was an aide to the Biden administration? She wasn't just a 28-year-old pilot. She was somebody who was very, very friendly with and played a significant role in, how's it put here, in hosting countless White House events, volunteering to support Biden. It's weird, to say the least. It's striking and it's weird that someone like that, someone who had these kinds of connections, when you're a 28-year-old, how do you cultivate those kinds of connections? You're a 28-year-old Army pilot, female Army pilot. Obviously, that makes you a celebrity in some people's eyes because you're breaking the glass ceiling or whatever. But that raises the whole specter of, did she belong? Did she belong there, or was she just put there because of quotas and such? And why did this happen in the first place? Like, was it? Again, I'm not saying I know. I'm not claiming to know. Maybe this was just a random freak accident. But I don't know that it's that, and neither do you. And what we do know now is that this likely recipient of, because the policy has been lately to not have so many white men, to lower standards to ensure more diversity. So I'm so #sorry not sorry. If you are the recipient, if you are a non-white male and you're the recipient of a job like this, after the powers that be have decided that competence and merit are not what really matters, that diversity matters more than merit does, even for things like fucking air traffic controllers and airline pilots and Black Hawk helicopter pilots flying around a major airport hub where planes are landing and taking off. And, you know, again, hashtag sorry, not sorry. You know, you're going to have to take your lumps. If you are a diversity hire, you can't claim that you can't claim, well, I got here because of my merit, because obviously merit is not what's being valued. You know, and I mean, in one sense, period, end of story. In another sense, of course, like what's really behind all like this is insane. I didn't know, and you know, I didn't know that there was this push for diversity over merit. I can almost like I don't think it's fair to have this be the case anywhere. But I mean, it's one thing if you're just talking about university professors or I don't know, something where people's lives aren't at stake, right? If you bring in somebody for diversity's sake, even though maybe he or she isn't up to snuff with the standards that you would expect from somebody in that position. You know, if it's a university professor or a high school teacher or something else like that, then, you know, I still think it's silly, but it's not the same thing as somebody who has your life in their hands. You know, I mean, who goes up in an airplane and says to himself or herself, I sure wish that, I mean, I hope that we have a diverse air crew. I hope that whoever's piloting this airplane are diverse enough. Like who getting on a plane and seeing that the pilot and the co-pilot are non-white men, regardless of the race of the race or gender, or orientation or whatever the hell else of the passenger. Like, wouldn't you feel more? Wouldn't you feel that your pilot was probably more likely promoted due to merit if he's a white male than you would if you were not a white male? And is that fair? Well, again, you got to take your lumps. If you're pushing for diversity over competence and merit in positions like where people's lives are in your hands, then unfortunately, you know, you're going to have to deal with people saying you're probably a diversity hire. You probably wouldn't have gotten this position if you were a white male, but because you're non-white or non-male or both, they gave it to you over a more competent white male. And if merit were the only thing that mattered, then you wouldn't see, you know, a pilot or someone else working in a role that is crucial, where people's safety is crucial. You know, where you've got people's lives in your hands. If people knew that it was based on merit and that there was no messing around with, oh, we have to be diverse, then people who weren't white men, but who still had these kinds of jobs would probably be seen as, well, I guess they probably are good. They're probably top notch, just like the other guys. But that goes away once it's once diversity becomes the priority. And again, in this case, the fact that this Black Hawk helicopter pilot who was in this helicopter that collided with a passenger plane and killed everybody on board. Was also tight with the outgoing administration, the Biden administration. Again, you got a problem with that. If you think it's just sexist or misogynistic to bring that up, well, again, hashtag sorry, not sorry. And for reasons I've already explained.